few announcements and say a few things. So we have been studying and practicing with living by vow, the question of what is it to live by vow? How do we live by vow? This last month. This is our final session. We've covered lots of things. I wrote them down this morning. We've talked about based in as a living by vow as a base root text. Our wonderful past Shusos have talked about bodhisattva vows, the refuges, the Sando Kai. We've talked about meal chants and the before lecture chant. And today we're going to talk about the Heart Sutra and the sound of emptiness, and all through, I think, a beautiful combination of good sound Dharma and what it looks like in our individual lives, because that's always what it's about. And helping each other. So I want to just take a minute and say what's going to happen in the next weeks ahead, which if you're not on the Dharma Heart Zen email list, you may want to sign up and get the newsletter at least these next few weeks so that we can all help keep each other straight, or call your friends, or so here's what I think is going to happen, and then of course the world will do with us what it's going to do, is we are going to remain on Zoom. And beginning February 14th, we will enter, like we did last year, an informal, nothing special practice period. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do anything. Well, you do have to do, but what you do is up to you. There's nothing formal about this. The theme is going to be being a true human being. And we'll be relying on the teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. So that's what we'll be studying. I went and looked in my bookshelf the other day, and there's going to be no end to the possibilities of what we can practice and turn here. Thai's teachings are vast and deep and simple and profound. If things open up and stay what looks like safe, I am at this point thinking that we will go to a hybrid model the beginning of March. But that's why I want you to keep in touch, so because we're going to have to help each other know which week is which. A hybrid, there'll be Zoom every time, but there will be meetings in Sebastopol for those who might want to come every other week. And this is the other one, is because of the days that are available in Wishman Hall, we're going to move Tuesdays, our regular Tuesday, which we've been doing forever and ever and ever and ever, to Mondays. But not till the beginning of March. I'll keep announcing this. For now, just keep showing up. You got it covered. And I'm hoping that switch to Mondays is going to not cause a lot of problems for people. And for anybody, if you have a big conflict on Monday, if you normally come to the Tuesday Sangha also, Thursday will be here as we always are. So now are you completely clear and completely confused? Okay. So that will lead us into Erika. Well, we did a really beautiful memorial service for Thich Nhat Hanh, who died last Friday on Tuesday. And Erika and Chelsea both shared their practice experience with Thich Nhat Hanh and at Plum Village, because they both practiced extensively with him. I would recommend it will be posted. And today we have Erika with us, who is going to continue to explore the teachings. We chanted Thai's new translation of the Heart Sutra, new meaning from 2014, but new meaning that in the span of ancient history, it's very new. He changed some of the language, and I think Erika's going to talk about why. And then I think there'll probably be a little time at the end for me to say some things, and maybe for us to go into small groups and have a discussion. So for right now, I'm going to hand this over to Erika. And Erika, let's begin with the before lecture chant.
Okay. An unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect Dharma is rarely met with even in 100,000 million kalpas. Having it to see and listen to remember and accept, I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's words. So, thank you, everyone. So good to speak and to share. And I want to start with playing the Great Bell Chant by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's about 7 minutes long, and I'm hoping Gretchen and I tried to work out the acoustics so that it sounds good. So we'll hope that it does. This is using the big, really big bell. I don't know if folks have been watching. If you haven't, you want to tune in. It's plumvillage.org that has the Plum Village's documentation of the services in Vietnam and the services at Plum Village and all that's been going on the last few days. I hear that Thich Nhat Hanh is going to be formally cremated on Friday, and I think that would be like 6 p.m. Friday your time in California, 5 here in Colorado, and they're just beautiful to watch. They're so beautiful, and then. And so the bell chant is, we'll be hearing the big bell, and then the chant sung in Vietnamese, and then Thich Nhat Hanh is reciting it in English over the in addition. So this is, we're talking about the sound of emptiness and the heart of great wisdom and Prajnaparamita. So listen to that. Just listen to it in that frame. And as he would say, please enjoy your breathing. Please enjoy your breathing. So I'm going to try to do this. It's going to look weird for a minute, but with any luck, we will get there. Yes. Okay. All right, here we go. Please enjoy your breathing. Is it sounding okay?
sound of this bell penetrates deep into the cosmos. Even in the darkest spots, living beings are able to hear it clearly, so that all suffering in them cease. Understanding come to their heart, and they transcend the path of sorrow and death. The universal Dharma door is already open. The sound of the rising tide is heard clearly. The miracle happens. A beautiful child appears in the heart of a lotus flower. One single drop of this compassionate water is enough to bring back the refreshing spring to our mountains and rivers.
So I hope that everyone that the fidelity was good and everyone was able to hear how really beautiful. Good. Gretchen says yes. All right. So yeah, the sound of silence, the sound of the bell. Uh, Before we get into Heart of Great Perfect Wisdom, I just did want to just say a little bit about Thich Nhat Hanh's really main disciple, life companion, uh, Sister Chan Kung. I want to kind of lift her up. Um, I don't know exactly when they met. When they met in Vietnam before coming to France, and she was very involved in Thai's School of Youth for Social Service in Vietnam, very active. And I didn't realize this until this week, listening to the services that prior to leaving Vietnam, he had tens of thousands of volunteers working in the School of Youth for Social Service to end the war. And as everyone knows, not being on either side, saying that he wouldn't align with either, then they were exiled to France in the I think early '60s, late '70s. So when I went to see them in their apartment in Paris, and she was then Cao Feng. She had not become a monastic, and had beautiful long black hair, and so I know that they've been together since the '60s at least. And she's really the wind beneath his wings, I would say, um, because she was writing letters to the boat people, and they would get at that time in '75. It had been the fall of Hanoi, and um, boat people and people trying to get out of Vietnam. And they would get these just letters of people who had died, who had drowned, things that happened, and just weep and weep about it. And then, going forward, she's been his helper, companion, main disciple. Um, Managed, I think, a lot of the affairs as Plum Village was coming up. I've heard stories that she would be the one that would go to the embassy with her letters because she knew somebody at the embassy who could get some more people out of Vietnam, and just a tireless. And she, was there with him in she was the one that, after his stroke in 2014, where he's been nonverbal and non-ambulatory for 8 years, she was the one that put together the care team and took care of him and turned him, and did everything, and was there until he took his last breath. So thank you, Sister Chung Kung. Thank you. Thank you. So getting on to the Great Heart of Perfect Wisdom Sutra, that I hadn't seen this before this week either, behind the times, but I think it's so beautiful. I'm going to read this again. What Nhat Hanh said. I mean, here's a guy that's created his own sect. He added 4 precepts to the 10 precepts. Invented engaged Buddhism pretty much in our lifetime, and it's called the father of mindfulness. But anyway, he says the reasons for retranslating the Heart Sutra. Dear family, the reason Thai must retranslate the Heart Sutra is because the patriarch who originally recorded the Heart Sutra was not sufficiently skillful enough in his use of language. For this reason, it has caused much misunderstanding for almost 2,000 years. I mean, that is great. I love it. I love it. So I'm just gonna read it again because we only heard it once on Tuesday, and I didn't get it together to screen share to put it up for everybody, but here we go. And so he calls it the insight that brings us to the other shore, which is how he translates Prajnaparamita. And so he's calling it that, the insight that brings us to the other shore, the shore of understanding. Avalokiteshvara, while practicing deeply with the insight that brings us to the other shore, suddenly discovered that all 5 skandhas are equally empty, and with this realization he overcame ill-being. Listen, Shariputra, the body itself is emptiness, and emptiness itself this body. The body is not other than emptiness, and emptiness is not other than this body. The same is true of feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Listen, Shariputra, all phenomena bear the mark of emptiness. Their true nature is the nature of no birth, no death, no being, no non-being, no defilement, no purity, no increasing, no decreasing. This is why in emptiness, body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness are not separate entities. The 18 realms of phenomena, which are the 6 sense organs and the 6 sense objects and the 6 consciousnesses, are also not separate self-entities. The 12 links of interdependent arising and their extinction are also not separate self-entities. Ill-being and the causes of ill-being and the end of ill-being, the path, the insight, and attainment are also not separate self-entities. Whoever can see this no longer needs anything to attain. Bodhisattvas who practice the insight that brings us to the other shore see no more obstacles in their mind, and because there are no more obstacles in their mind, they overcome all fear, destroy all wrong perceptions, and realize perfect nirvana. All Buddhas in the past, present, and future, by practicing the insight that brings us to the other shore, are all capable of attaining authentic and perfect enlightenment. Therefore, Shariputra, it should be known that the insight that brings us to the other shore is the great mantra, the most illuminating mantra, the highest mantra, a mantra beyond compare, the true wisdom that has the power to put an end to all kinds of suffering. Therefore, let us proclaim a mantra to praise the insight that brings us to the other shore. Gate, gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. So, what is so, to me, just jumps out about this is the not separate self-entities. And I do believe that's the sort of the crux of what he wanted to say. It's both and. It's both and. And to give an example, he uses this koan, the first story. The Zen master asked the novice monk, "Tell me about your understanding of the Heart Sutra." The novice monk joined his palms and replied, "I have understood that the 5 skandhas are empty. There are no eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smells, taste, touch. Wisdom and attainment do not exist. Do you believe what it says?" yes, I truly believe what it says. And then he says, well, come closer. That's always the tip off. Come closer, the Zen master instructed the monk. When the novice came forward, he immediately reached out and pinched his nose and twisted it. In great agony, the novice cried out, "Teacher, you're hurting me." The Zen master looked at the novice and said, "Just now you said that the nose doesn't exist. But if the nose doesn't exist, then what's hurting?" So that so when he says they don't exist as separate self entities, that's the thing. I mean, yes, we have a nose. Yes, we put our hand in the fire, we'll be burned. Yes, we live in the physical world, and there's nothing that isn't dependent on everything else in the world. There's nothing, and when you look into it, there's no thing that we could say, well, this is Erika, this is me, this is my nose, this is and for me, over the years, working with the Heart Sutra, there's this sense of, oh well, yes, I get that. I get that there's nothing self-existent and everything is interpenetrating and the emptiness of any particular aspect, and yet when it comes to a certain feeling like my sadness or my ongoing feeling of guilt, there's some feelings that are so pervasive that when they come up, and it's less and less, but I notice, over the years I've noticed that it's like when they come up, it's like, oh, well, that really is, that really is me. That really does exist. And it because I think because we're so habitually used to it. And I started noticing that when I would first wake up in the morning, you're waking up and thoughts go through your mind, and then things would go through until I would get to the one that matched the pervasive feeling, like sadness or something, and then I would stick on it, which made it feel like, oh, this is self-existing. This is does have some solidity. So I think it's going over all of the different minute parts of things that don't have self-existence are really a way of reminding us, like, oh, even that one, oh, even that angry thought, oh yeah, no, it comes and goes too. It's not really there all the time, even though I experience it as really being there a lot of the time. But so yeah, that is really what I want to say pretty much. Let me see what else I have here. Here's another story that Nhat Hanh uses as example of his change. The eminent master Tru Trung, a lay master of 13th century Vietnam, one day a bhikkhu paid a visit to him and asked him about the Heart Sutra. Eminent master, what does the phrase "form is emptiness, emptiness is form" really mean? The eminent master remained silent for a while, and then he said, well, bhikkhu, do you have a body? He says, yes, I do. Well, then why do you say that the body does not exist? Eminent master continued, do you think that in empty space there is form? No, I do not see that there is form. Then why do you say that emptiness is form? The bhikkhu stood up, bowed, and went away, but the master came back and gave him the following gatha. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form, is a skillful means created temporarily by the Buddhas of the three times. Emptiness is not form, form is not emptiness. Their nature is always pure, illuminating, neither caught in being nor non-being. And this is, this is our this is our moment to moment challenge of not falling down on the side of saying yes we are, and not falling down on the side of the saying yes we're not. We're being and non-being, and emptiness and wholeness and fullness at all at once, all at once. Um, so uh, I really would like to continue to chant and practice and really contemplate this new version of the Heart Sutra. I do think it's beautiful, and and thank you very much. I think that's all I have. Um, thank you.
Let's make sure to send that out. Put it in the newsletter. The,
Okay.
the quote new translation.
Oh, I guess one other more thing. I guess we did a memorial on Tuesday, and I just you know an echo. I'm gonna cry again. Echo for Thai is may all the may all those who have been inspired by the life of Thich Nhat Hanh through his writing, poetry, teachings, together with all beings, embody and carry on the wisdom that he embodied. May we transmit forward for the benefit of all beings throughout time and space. It's just it's so moving to me. I'm sorry to cry all the time. Here we go.
Thank you. So I was thinking I got up really early this morning and I was listening to the Plum Village. I'd listened to some of it and I kind of caught up on some of the rituals. And and I think as you could feel with the bell chant, is that chanting in the song it's very emotional.
Yeah.
In Zen, we tend more to go blah 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 blah, and I love it, and it feels so body. It's emotional in a different kind of way. Uh, but the song like quality, which I think is partly Asian Buddhism, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, as I know it, and what Erika just transmitted. This living by vow isn't distanced. It's we take these teachings into our bodies and we take each other into our bodies and the teachers and the teachings. And it's very intimate and close and emotional, not in the sense of it's how can emotion teach non-attachment? It's that place that Erika was pointing to, that the Heart Sutra is pointing to. Completely full, empty, boundless, and love that is beyond love, and it comes through Erika's tears, comes through each one of us. Through our living by vow. Some of us cry, some of us don't, some of us laugh. It varies moment by moment. But what is it to embody this sound, this breath of emptiness that is the heartbeat of the whole world. So I had I'm going to wait to say anything more I'm going to say until we start this whole unit with Thich Nhat Hanh, because I'm actually feeling kind of full with Thich Nhat Hanh. It's like there's so many things I just want to share that I've been finding this last week. I'm going to suggest, Erika, what do you think if we put people in small groups, like for about 15 minutes,